There's something about abandoned state hospitals that never sits right with people. Too many corridors, too many stories, and too much silence where memory still breathes. But Hawthorne Asylum, just outside of Roanoke, Virginia, wasn't like most. It closed quietly in 1978. No scandal, no fire, just stopped. The official statement said irreparable infrastructure damage, but locals knew better. They said the building itself didn't want people inside anymore. In 1994, the property was bought by a historical preservation group. They sent volunteers to clean out old storage rooms before sealing the north wing. One of them, 22-year-old Erin Thatcher, a film student at Radford University, was recording her visits with a camcorder for a humanities project. She recovered 12 VHS tapes labeled Behavior Wing A, all dated 1976-1977. The handwriting on the labels was trembling, as if written during a panic. On each spine was the same phrase, Patient 29, do not review alone. The footage was never released, but fragments leaked online years later. Researchers verified the camera models and timestamps, real, unedited. That's when people started piecing together what Erin might have seen before she vanished. The first tape is mundane. White hallway, peeling paint, hospital bed wheels squeaking. A nurse walks past the camera, name tag blurred. In the background, a drumming sound, slow and steady, like someone tapping the wall from the other side. The second shows patient 29, a man around 40, completely still. No visible restraints, but his arms don't move. Dr. Hensley, whose name appears in old state journals, asks simple questions. Do you know where you are? Do you know what day it is? After a long pause, the patient says quietly, no day here. Time drips. On the fifth tape, the patient begins to hum something rhythmic, a low, metallic tone that grows painful through the cheap VHS mic. The nurses complain of headaches during playback. The log notes read, observed lateral sound distortion. That's when the air behind him shifts, not moving air, but something bending the light just slightly. Tape 7 ends mid-recording with the lens cracking from the inside. 2 months after finding the tapes, Erin began reporting vivid dreams. She told her roommate that when she closed her eyes, she saw empty hallways lit by a red emergency lamp that never switched off. Her project journal, still archived by the university, describes hearing drumming noises while editing, always at the same frequency, 19.3 hertz, low enough to cause panic and nausea in humans. She joked it was Hawthorne's heartbeat. By February 1995, her classmates noticed her behavior worsening. She drew maps of the asylum's basement that shouldn't exist, rooms beyond the original floor plan. Her handwriting grew smaller and smaller until, on the last page, she wrote, he's waiting underneath. Not dead, not one of us. Erin disappeared a week later. Her car was found near the asylum fence, locked, camcorder on the passenger seat. The last tape she recorded runs 9 minutes and 42 seconds. The first 7 minutes show her walking down the east corridor, whispering to herself. At 7:13, she turns the camera toward a door marked B29, same number as the patient's. The last 2 minutes are just humming. The camera shakes violently, then stops with a click. When police reviewed the tape, the timestamp froze at 7:44. The internal clock of the camera kept running, but nothing moved in the video, yet the humming continued for exactly 3 more minutes. Erin was never found. After the disappearance, the Historical Preservation Society scrubbed all mention of the asylum from its projects. Invoices showed they paid a private firm $82,000 to demolish the north wing ahead of schedule. But satellite photos from that year showed no signs of demolition, just an asphalt covering that appeared overnight, sealing the basement doors. Former workers later claimed equipment malfunctioned on site, compasses spinning, power tools refusing to start. In 1998, a new company purchased the land to build storage warehouses. They tore through the asphalt and found beneath it a metal slab fused into the ground, not structurally consistent with any material used in the 70s. When they cut into it, their recording mics captured faint, rhythmic drumming again, spaced exactly 19.3 hertz apart. Work ceased that afternoon. By midnight, the slab had cooled completely, and the sound stopped. There is a clip that circulates in underground forums, supposedly from a shortwave frequency broadcasting near Roanoke around 2016. A distorted female voice repeats a phrase in a loop. Time drips, time drips, time drips. Audio experts say the pattern matches the same hum frequency found in Aaron's tapes. No one has ever proven a direct connection. But here's the thing. When the signal was first recorded, its transmission origin mapped exactly to where the Hawthorne Asylum once stood. And if you visit the site now, just an overgrown field and a cracked road, locals warn you not to take photos after dark. Not because you'll see something, but because your 1T and the outline that doesn't show in your pictures is still standing there, facing the camera. Based on alleged events in coastal Maine, 1989-1991. People in the northeastern part of Maine still don't like to talk about Greyhaven. You won't find it on most maps anymore. Even if you dig through the archived census data, the name vanishes after 1991, replaced by something bureaucratic like unincorporated zone SE27. But 30 years ago, Greyhaven was a small fishing community at the mouth of the Kennebec River. About 300 residents, one post office, one school, and a sawmill built before World War II. No one really knows when it started. Some say late summer '89. Others remember things changing after the storm that destroyed the pier. Whatever it was, it began subtly, enough for most of the town to shrug it off. Phase 1. The noise and the fog every September. The river brings heavy fog inland, blanketing the town for days. Locals called it white weather. That year, though, the fog didn't behave. It came earlier, stayed longer, and the dogs refused to go outside during it. Fishermen first reported the hum, a low vibration under the water, not a motor, not tide echo, but something deeper. They said it followed the boats, like an engine running beneath them. Then came the missing traps. Dozens, sometimes hundreds, gone overnight. No torn buoys, no rope, just gone. Sheriff McDonough thought it was theft by rival crews. But then they found one of the buoys 5 miles upriver, tangled in a telephone cable, as if someone or something had pulled it against the current. Phase 2. The Starling Field in October. Schoolteacher Nancy Ward started keeping a journal. She wrote that starlings began gathering by the thousands near the sawmill, circling every evening at 6:43. Exactly. Locals went to watch it first. After a week, no one wanted to. The birds formed impossible shapes, circles that collapsed, lines that spun inward, and one night, a shape like a human face bending down over the town. Nancy's last journal entry was October 18th. The birds don't land, but I saw something standing in the field when they finished. I don't think it was a person. 3 days later, her house caught fire. The cause was never determined. The volunteer fire chief said the flames burned in reverse, inward, not outward, like the walls were melting toward the center. Phase 3. The tide well by winter, half the town had packed up and left. Those who stayed began hearing whispers from the old tidal well near the church. It wasn't used anymore, hadn't been since the 1950s. But water levels there didn't match the river's tide. Sometimes it was full when the river was low, dry when it was overflowing. In January '90, a group of teenagers dropped a flashlight and camera down the well. The flashlight's beam caught movement, like shadows shifting in water. The video footage recovered later was only 48 seconds long. The sound was garbled, but a faint female voice could be heard repeating, "It's not deep. It's wide." The next day, 3 of the kids vanished. Their car was found near the riverbank, engine running, doors open, no footprints in the snow. Phase 4. The last broadcast, there was only one local radio station, WGVH 108.4 FM, run out of a trailer behind the diner. On the night of February 3, 1991, the station broadcast a strange emergency message. The host, Gabe Donner, sounded calm but not normal. His voice was flat, mechanical, as if reading something beyond comprehension. A restored recording circulates online. It lasts 2.5 minutes. You can clearly hear Gabe repeating, "The fog is coming uphill. If you hear the water dripping where there is no water, do not go outside." The people knocking at your door are not people. After that, static. WGVH never transmitted again. When state officials arrived a week later, Greyhaven was deserted. Doors unlocked, cars in driveways, meals half-eaten on tables. The pier was gone, every piling ripped from the seabed as if a massive current had pulled upward against gravity. They found only one body, Sheriff McDonough. He was kneeling in the town square, frozen solid, pointing west toward the woods. The strange part? The compass embedded in his pocket showed south as magnetic north, and every nearby device refused to turn on. Epilogue. The search that vanished in 2011. A crew from a Boston university tried to locate the original town site using LiDAR and old property maps. They found river sediment, traces of burned structures, and something else. Buried several meters down, beneath compacted clay was a perfectly circular cavity, 43 meters wide. Its inner surface was lined with a layer of glass-like material, fused from stone. Experts said it looked like the aftermath of extremely localized heat, the kind caused by lightning, but there were no scorch marks above it. The area is still fenced off and listed as unstable terrain. Locals refuse to guide tourists there, and official state records refer to it as Site GH27. Some nights, though, fishermen say a faint orange light appears offshore where the river meets the sea, the same direction Greyhaven used to be. And when the fog rolls in, they swear the hum comes back, deep beneath their boats, following them until sunrise. Recovered files from Project ECH09, Colorado, 1982, 1986. Even the U.S. government doesn't like to talk about ECO-9. Officially, it was a deep seismic telemetry station in the Rockies, a facility meant to monitor underground nuclear tests during the Cold War, but the site's record trail has gaps. Budget logs listed under the Department of Energy, yet some of the personnel listed belonged to the National Institutes of Health. That overlap made no sense unless the so-called seismic readings weren't geological at all. In 2012, a contractor named Daniel Kearns posted a set of photographs on a forgotten forum. They showed a decaying bunker carved directly into the rock, filled with freezing mist and racks of old dated tapes. Most of the labels had peeled off, but one still read, Lazarus Protocol Test Phase 3. Do not rewind. Kearns vanished 3 weeks later after saying he heard something moving behind the cooling vents. Researchers who examined his uploads confirmed the camera metadata, timestamps from 1986 to 2012, same device, no edits. That suggested he had found those tapes on site and re-recorded their playback. So what was on them? The experiment, a redacted memo, surfaced in 2014 through FOIA requests. It referenced a biothermal resonance array, a system meant to detect cellular activity below cryogenic levels. The theory was simple. If you could hear the faint molecular vibrations of cells long after biological death, you could detect something persistent, some echo of consciousness. The tests at ECH09 started with animal subjects, but at some point in 1984, they began receiving samples, not from labs, but from classified crash retrievals, sources marked non-human biological affinity. The project's lead biophysicist, Dr. Martin Kell, wrote in his field notes, Subject 4A demonstrates reactive resonance. Frequencies align with cortical mapping. The waveform seems aware of observation. In plain language, the readings looked back. The incident a week later, on June 2, 1984, seismic monitors across the Rockies picked up a pulse underground, frequency 36 Hz, spreading outward in a perfect sphere. Civilian scientists assumed it was a minor quake, but buried in the military data is an unexplained annotation. Origin: Bidac ECH09. Internal only. Amplitude escalating. Then silence. When backup arrived, the entire facility was without power, but the cryogenic chambers were still running on independent loops. Inside one of them, there was meltwater on the floor and frost marks shaped like hands pushing outward. 4 staff were missing, including Dr. Kell. His name is the last one to appear on a handwritten badge recovered from the corridor. The note attached to it reads in smeared pencil, Do not thaw. Do not listen. The recovered audio, only one audio reel was intact enough to restore. It begins with technicians calibrating sensors, ambient hum, ventilation noise, then someone whispering, amplitude rising. At minute 3:17, there's a deep harmonic surge. Then comes the voice. It isn't speaking language, it's matching human breath patterns backwards. The pitch slides in patterns physiologists say mimic REM sleep cycles, as if the recording is dreaming. At 3:43, Dr. Kell says, it wants a name. The sound cuts off exactly when he says the word Lazarus. The cleanup after the event, the base was concreted shut, registered as a fault hazard zone. Contractors poured resin into the ventilation shafts. But in later drone imaging, the concrete appears cracked, as if something beneath shifted. From the 1990s onward, hikers near that stretch of the Rockies began reporting earth tremors with rhythmic spacing, exactly 36 Hz apart. Each time, seismologists logged the duration, has 2 minutes and 11 seconds, the precise length of the original audio reel. Nobody officially connects the two, but the coordinates of those events trace a tidy circle around the buried site, a perimeter, not a pattern, as if whatever lies beneath is mapping its territory. Epilogue: the modern signal in 2020. A geotechnical company drilling in that same area transmitted an automated distress ping. They'd hit something metallic under the basalt layer. The file recovered from the telemetry system contained garbled data and one clear embedded phrase converted to audio by error correction software. Resonance acknowledged. The transmission repeated exactly 36 times, then stopped. The mountain hasn't moved since, but regional magnetometers still record faint fluctuations, matching brainwave frequencies like an EEG under the earth. No human presence detected, at least not anymore.